In my first video covering One Piece, we spoke about everything that we know about Joyboy and the Sun God Nika, and how these two figures are connected to Luffy and his Devil Fruit, the Gomu Gomu No Mi. Ever since we learnt about the truth of Luffy's Devil Fruit, I've been wondering what role Shanks had to play in all of this, most notably why he was carrying the Devil Fruit when Luffy had eaten it all the way back at the start of the series. In this video, we will be breaking down and analysing everything that we know about Shanks, talking about his connection with the world government, the role that he plays in inspiring Luffy to start his own journey, as well as going over some theories about his true intentions. Whatever the case may be, Oda is definitely planning something in regards to Shanks' character, and I want to piece together as much as we can about him prior to any big reveals. So without further delay, let's talk about everyone's favourite redhead pirate. In chapter 1044, we learnt about the real identity of the Gomu Gomu No Mi via the 5 elders, who refer to it as a mythical Zoan type human fruit, model Nika. Mythical Zoan are a type of Zoan Devil Fruit that allow the user to transform themselves into either a godly being or a creature. Mythical Zoan Devil Fruits are said to be the rarest and most powerful of the Zoan class. The user of this type of fruit undergoes physical enhancement. Individuals like Mako, Sengoku, and even Kaido all possess mythical Zoan Devil Fruits, thus explaining how they are able to utilize mythical abilities, like Mako's flames that have healing properties, or when Kaido in his Azure Dragon form has the ability to generate different elements like fire, wind, and lightning. It is easy to understand why mythical Zoan fruits are so sought after, and up until recently we didn't know that Luffy was also in possession of one. In chapter 1045, we see Luffy use his Gear 5 against Kaido, and he achieves this form via the awakening of his Devil Fruit. Luffy's entire body transforms as his hair becomes white and it takes the shape of flames, and his eyes start glowing with white rings around them, and clouds appear floating all around his body. The most significant precursor to this form is the change in Luffy's heartbeat, as it takes on more of a musical rhythm, as Zunisha comments that it sounds like the drums of liberation. His heartbeat can be heard throughout all of Onigashima, as it alerts all of those nearby that Luffy is still alive. When awakened, his rubber body increases in strength and freedom, as he becomes a physical representation of freedom. He is able to bring joy to people around him and liberate them from any oppressor. The 5 elders in chapter 1044 had warned that because of this reason, the Gomu Gomu No Mi's true power is considered to be the most ridiculous in the world. Luffy's awakening seems to create cartoon-like effects, as we see them throughout chapter 1045, not only with Luffy but with anybody who is close enough to see him, including Kaido or spectators like Law, Nami, and Kid. These effects include the eye-popping effects and the cartoonish bump that appears after Luffy's head is hurt. While in his Gear 5 form, Luffy is full of laughter, confidence, and a general sense of excited happiness. Kaido comments on how Luffy appears to be behaving like he is straight out of a comic book. Again, this is thanks to his mythical Zoan nature, which is granting his rubber body so many advantages that allow him to manipulate his body in a cartoonish manner. When Luffy was directly hit by Kaido's bolo breath, he had survived the attack, appearing with little injury. He was in fact slightly charred, but this fits the whole cartoon aesthetic of Gear 5, as he quickly bounces back from the attack in order to continue fighting Kaido. In this form, similar to Gear 3 and Gear 4, Luffy is able to inflate his limbs or pump his muscles without the need to blow air into his body beforehand. A notable change in Gear 5 is that Luffy is able to transform himself into a larger size, as he appears to be a giant in chapter 1045 while he is fighting Kaido. A key advantage of Gear 5 is that Luffy can extend the rubber properties of his powers onto his surroundings, as he was able to stretch the ground beneath him to bounce Kaido's bolo breath back at him. He can also alter his surroundings so that the ground beneath him turns into rubber to soften himself from any powerful attacks, and so that he can bounce off of these surfaces to propel his body towards his target. So with the Gomu Gomu No Mi fruit turning out to be such a powerful devil fruit, it is no wonder that the world government had renamed it and tried to erase the fruit's real name from the records of history. Even its type was changed to a paramecia type fruit, leading us to believe that it simply transforms the user into a rubber human being. The 5 elders in chapter 1044 had stated that they have been trying to find the Hito no Mi model Nika for over 800 years, but their efforts were of no avail. We know that mysteriously the world government eventually came to learn about the whereabouts of the fruit, and it was found and stored on a government ship guarded by Who's Who, a former CP9 agent, but Lucky Roo from the Redhead Pirates had stolen the fruit 10 years before the start of the One Piece story. Because Who's Who was unable to protect the fruit, he was dismissed from CP9, and he was eventually imprisoned. In the very first chapter of One Piece, the Redhead Pirates were in Fuchsia Village, and they had kept the Gomu Gomu No Mi in a small chest which Roo had carried with him. While they were celebrating at Party's bar, a young Luffy had eaten the fruit without thinking, as he had assumed that it was a nice dessert for his meal. After doing so, he had gained the rubber abilities of the fruit, and as a consequence of eating a devil fruit, he was now unable to swim in the sea. While Shanks and his crew were devastated that Luffy had eaten the fruit, it is uncertain whether if they knew about its true power or its real identity. I'm thinking that if they did know, then they wouldn't have left Luffy alone. Possibly they would have brought him along with them as a member of the Redhead Pirates. So with Luffy's devil fruit being in Shanks' possession, and with the strange recent goings on with his character, I want to discuss the motives of Shanks. So much regarding his character is shrouded in mystery, and I think it's worth discussing what drives this character so that we can establish a solid motive behind his actions. In his early life, we know that Shanks along with Buggy were a part of the Roger Pirates, but they did not reach the final island of the New World, Laugh-Tale. However, since Roger had given his hat to Shanks, it leads me to believe that he would have been told a general idea about what the One Piece is. When the Roger Pirates had returned from Laugh-Tale, they did not come back with a treasure, but rather with a wealth of crucial knowledge pertaining to the world and the Void Century. Knowledge that the world government was so afraid of coming out that they had Roger executed. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Buggy or Shanks knew about this knowledge, but it is safe to assume that Buggy has no interest in the knowledge found on Laugh-Tale, as it is more in line with his character to be after a physical type of treasure. Contrastingly, Shanks was the inheritor of Roger's straw hat, the very iconic hat that Luffy carries with him to this day. I'm assuming that Roger would have shared some of what he had learnt with Shanks, as we know that he had travelled with Roger into the New World, so he must have somewhat of an idea as to what the One Piece is. We know that Shanks' motive is not the treasure, and from what we have seen of his character, we are aware that he is interested in the politics of the world, and he desires for world peace. To some extent, he is also safeguarding the knowledge given to him by Roger, so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, like Blackbeard's hands for example. We are well aware that Shanks was responsible for inspiring Luffy to become a pirate and to start on his own journey. The two characters not only have a shared history, but they are linked through the straw hat that was handed down to Luffy. It is a symbol of the faith that Shanks has in Luffy, as he had gifted the hat to him, telling him to return it someday after he becomes a great pirate. It has been a while since we have seen Shanks, as his last major role within the story was in chapter 579, when he had arrived at Marineford after the death of Ace and Whitebeard. Shanks had appeared in order to bring an end to the war, and at that time he did not wait for Luffy to regain consciousness. Despite the fact that he would have liked to see him, he did not want to break the promise that they had made with each other. Now, aside from reacting to the news that Luffy's bounty has increased after the events of Dressrosa in chapter 838, we don't really see Shanks again for quite some time, as he appears again during the Reverie Arc, and his most latest appearance has left us with a lot of questions. In chapter 907, we see Shanks at the capital of the world government, Mary-Jo. He meets with the five elders as he requests to speak with them about a certain pirate. When Shanks appears before the elders, it is evident that there is history between the two parties. Their demeanor is relaxed, and it seems like there is a mutual respect for each other here. Possibly they have met like this on more than one occasion. The elders tell Shanks that they only arranged to speak with Shanks at such short notice because it was at his request. Admiral Sengoku had said something similar when Shanks had stated that they wanted the bodies of Whitebeard and Ace in order to give them a proper burial. Sengoku says that it's only because it's you, as he clearly recognizes and respects Shanks similar to how the elders did during the Reverie Arc. It makes me wonder what is the connection between Shanks and the world government. In general, Shanks is a type of character who holds a lot of power with his words. When he speaks, people fall silent and listen to him. His presence has an incredible pull when it comes to the world of One Piece. Some would go as far as to assume that Shanks is closely linked with the world government, or that he is a liar, and that he has been working against Luffy and the pirates this entire time. However, I feel like this is far from the case. We know that he has no desire for seeking the One Piece, and also that he is somewhat of a pacifist, who would rather choose to avoid bloodshed and chaos as long as none of his friends are in danger. We can appreciate that he is the type to favor peaceful resolution resolutions as opposed to conflict. But we are also aware that he will fight if he has no choice but to. Shanks had probably wanted to ensure that the current world order is maintained, that is until a certain pirate would appear to shake up the world. This certain pirate is either Blackbeard or Luffy in my opinion, but I'm more inclined to believe that the pirate that Shanks wanted to speak to the elders about was in fact Luffy. In chapter 506, Rayleigh had recalled meeting with Shanks when he had noticed that he had lost his signature straw hat along with his left arm. Shanks had excitedly then told him about the young boy that he had met in East Blue who had reminded him of Goldie Roger, and that he had given up his arm on a bet which was Luffy becoming a great pirate who would redefine the world, like Roger did. We know that later Shanks had also warned Whitebeard about Ace pursuing Blackbeard, as he stated that it would be dangerous, and the biggest example proving that Shanks is somewhat of a pacifist is when he had ended the war within Marineford, and he did not take advantage of either party being weakened, as he did not attack the weakened Whitebeard pirates or the Marines. Instead, he had stopped the fighting and had forced Blackbeard and his crew to leave. We know that Shanks had spoken to the elders during the Reverie Arc. Now, was this because he had formed an alliance with them during the 2-year time skip, or was it to distract the world government by sharing false information with them about Luffy in an attempt to protect him? I personally don't think that Shanks would betray Luffy, and I don't see him working with the world government, as this is very uncharacteristic of him, and I'd like to think that he is actually helping Luffy in some way, wanting him to reach Laugh Hill and to become the next Pirate King. In general, Shanks is a character that we know little about, especially in regards to his motives, and his past after he had left the Roger Pirates is unknown. Does he carry the will of D? Why do the members of the world government show so much respect for Shanks despite him being responsible for inspiring Luffy, one of their most wanted pirates? Does Shanks know about the truth that lies within Laugh Hill? Did he know about the true nature of Luffy's Devil Fruit, that it grants the user with more than just a rubber body? Like I said at the start of the video, Oda is definitely setting up something in relation to Shanks' character, and with One Piece Film Red promising to be about Shanks, and with the recent developments involving Luffy, I'm sure all of us cannot wait to see more of Shanks' character. So we know that Luffy's battle against Kaido is reaching its climax, so let me know all of your thoughts on Gear 5, whether if Luffy can actually beat Kaido now, and lastly, I want to know about your thoughts on Shanks speaking with the 5 elders and his true motives. Once again, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next One Piece video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.